Hello everybody! The second part of the 34th episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse was released today, and in this video I will make a full analysis of this episode for you. Answer all the questions that may have arisen while you were watching this episode, tell you what is happening here in general, and why everything happened as I expected, as well as find all the hidden secrets and Easter eggs. And I assure you, it will be very interesting. Who sent the signal to the pencilmen about where the last people were? And who is still living with this cameraman and hiding under a blanket? So get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end as it will blow you away. And now let's go. So at the very beginning we are shown how the 6th episode ended. But here we find out that in fact this exact cameraman did not die, but he was pulled out with the help of a pencil teleporter right before the impact of the big magnetic boy. And from this we can conclude that all the events in here take place immediately after the 6th episode, which was quite a long time before we firstly met the pencilmen. So the POV meets a blue cameraman and asks him to tell him what happened, and the POV starts transmitting via Bluetooth to the tablet what he just saw, and apparently recorded on his camera, and shows it to his brother. Immediately after that, as it turned out, it was not the main pencilman, but apparently their commander or something like that, and he begins to say that they cannot help. And now it is clear why the liberation and repair of Titan Clockman took so long. Instead of helping, they decided to do other dirtier things, so to speak, but we'll get to that later. And while he's talking about it, you can see a rather curious device behind these three guys. Does it remind you of anything? I don't know about you, but it seemed to me that this thing looks suspiciously like the device with the usage of which the Alpha could open the portals, which also suggests certain thoughts, but I'll tell you about it in my next video. So don't forget to like and subscribe so as not to miss anything important. So right after the pencil robot said that it was necessary to create clones, now for sure the head of the pencilmen begins to draw. By the way, we have already seen this guy on the honor board in the secret scene during the association meeting. And so we found out how Pencilman the Bouncer appeared, and I think that all the other pencilmen were also drawn by this Big Daddy, and I also think that's his main strength, the ability to recreate new soldiers like themselves. It is likely that most of them do not possess any intelligence at all, and they simply follow any order that either the chief pencilman or this robot will give them. By the way, you can find some funny messages on this pencil base. For example, add charge port here. Honestly, I can't even imagine who might need a charging port on the ceiling. Maybe it was written by some joker who will laugh at whoever really makes an outlet in this place. Or a request to plug a certain hole, which is definitely not here. Also, in addition to this, I found two kind of incomprehensible devices over which some objects are flying. A pyramid levitates above one of them, and Pandora is written on the device, while above the other you can see a cylinder and the inscription Promethea. Honestly, it's really difficult to say how exactly this can be interpreted. Perhaps this is a reference to Greek mythology, according to which the same Pandora opened a box containing all the troubles of mankind. And because of this, the phrase Pandora's box appeared, which means the commitment of an action with irreversible consequences, most often really bad ones. And this is exactly what happened to people in this universe, actually, presumably after artificial intelligence was created, which led humanity to almost complete extinction. Immediately after the birth of the big boy, C-Pen says that he found their base, and he does not know how, but he knows that it is definitely them. And we are already aware of that we are talking about people, but it is still quite interesting how he found out exactly where they are hiding. Considering that he is a robot, I would suspect that he was simply sent a signal from another robot or artificial intelligence, which is also hostile to humans, but due to some circumstances cannot attack this shelter itself. But the pencilmen do not hesitate to enter this portal, leaving the cameraman at the base, and now we are transported to one of the last human settlements. And the first thing that appears in front of us here is a painfully familiar TV. TVs of this particular model are in place of all TV men's heads, which once again confirms my theory that it was people who initially created them, as well as the toilets that guard this small village. And this also suggests that I was right in my analysis for the 33rd episode. We also finally got to know the family of the character named Male07, or as he is already called now, Commander. And now we know that he had a wife and daughter who survived the apocalypse and hid from the Alliance. And now we are getting transported to the Skibidi guards, and from conversation between them, it is possible to understand what is actually happening in here. One of them says that it was worth sending even more guards here. But the management did not do it because the others are not ready yet and cannot speak at the moment, apparently in human language. And it turns out that in front of us there are some of the very first people who went through the transformation into Skibidi toilets, at least successfully. It turns out that I was right again about the fact that Skibidi toilets are just kind of modified people. However, this procedure is not harmless for everyone, and it is possible that many simply lose their minds or simply forget the human language, which most likely caused the need to create a special Skibidi language. And it turns out that the Skibidi scientist was the one who actually lost the ability to speak, but did not lose his mind. Well, now I think that everything is going as stable as possible, based on the last Skibidi mutants that we saw in episode 33. So now let's go back to the village. One of the toilets says that the people living in this village are the last ones to exist. And if that's the case, then what happened next is even more tragic than you might think. At this moment, a portal opens from which invulnerable pencilmen exit, and the last words of the guards were that this place could not be found unless someone from the inside sent a signal. And yes, it looks like there's a traitor in this village. I can't even imagine who it could be. And after the invasion, the pencilmen begin to clean up this village and some kind of sheer horror begins to happen. First, C-Pen destroys the grandfather with a gun, saying that it is a weak and strange Skibidi toilet. Of course, buddy, just open your eyes wider. Where did you see a toilet in this poor person? Press F, guys. And after the order to gather all of them in the last village of people, a complete clearing out of all these poor souls had begun. The pencilmen started to beat and round up people, but some of them were much less fortunate than the others. And all this is happening in the background of a bloody red sunset, which probably signals that something tragic has just happened. In the end, the pencilmen gathered all the people in one place and the blue cameraman began to say something to them. I think he was saying that these are all peaceful people and they are not dangerous in any way, and that they do not need to be touched and all that sort of thing. After all, if you look at it, then most of the population of this village are women, children, and the elderly, which really means that they are not dangerous at all. The robot says that he does not know what people are, but he probably knows who the Skibidi toilets are. And the cameraman shakes two hands, meaning that you can be at peace with these people or something like that. At least not do what this metal hell of a prick is going to do. He doesn't see the difference between people and Skibidi toilets, and says that any threat must be eliminated and resorts to the most awful means to deal with this so-called threat. And after that, I can say for sure that we will not see these people again. But I want to return to the analysis of one of the secret scenes in which we were shown the life of a blue cameraman and how he cooked human food. I assumed at the time that a person was most likely hiding under this blanket. And after watching this episode, everything fell into one place. And I can say that most likely the commander's daughter lives with this cameraman who survived this terrible event and was saved by this exact cameraman, most likely in secret from the pencilmen. And I assume that in the future episodes we will see the reunion of the commander's family and how the blue cameraman will give him his daughter back. So in the end, I want to say that in this video I omitted several important and interesting details so that this video does not turn out to be too long, and I'm planning to make a second part of it. So be sure that you're subscribed to my channel so as not to miss a new and very interesting video. And it was me, Eso Chad. See ya!